Hello, I'm Esther Githuyu. It's Thursday, April 14th. This is Africa 54.
Victims of South Africa's deadliest storm on record scramble to get help as the death toll from floods and landslips surges past 300. As the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court visits the mass graves in Bucha, Ukraine, the United States says it will help document war crimes. And women brew a brighter future thanks to a special initiative in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Victims of South Africa's deadliest storm on record scrambled to get help on Thursday as the death toll from floods and landslides that struck the country's southeast surged past 300. At least 306 people have been killed since the heaviest rainfall in 6 decades swept away homes and destroyed infrastructure in Durban and KwaZulu-Natal province. The government has declared a state of disaster in the region and is pledging relief to those affected. A morgue worker in the Durban township of Phoenix says more than 100 corpses had been brought to the morgue. A public call has been issued urging people to donate non-perishable food, bottled water, clothes and blankets. A short time ago, Durban-based journalist Asma Botmi spoke to some of the affected people.
It's very bad. It's very, very bad. People are stranded and it's bad, extremely bad. Right now, as I'm talking to you, we're going to the people just to ask something to eat for them. We ask also clothes, blankets, sponges and everything. But for now, we didn't get anything.
The floods came, everybody ran away. And most of us, we don't have a place to stay. As you can see here, those shack houses, we can't stay here. We need help with anything. Tents, food, clothes. Even water, we don't have water, no electricity, and we can't stay here anymore. We need help. Anybody can help us with the houses, because now we live like animals. Someone came, he asked us to go to school, but the problem is, when we left our things here, they're gonna be stolen. So our goods are here, so we want to try to collect everything here so that maybe if we are moving here, we take that we left, then we go.
Government is ignoring us. I don't know, but they only remember us when now we have to take our IDs and go to the voting stations. After this, there's nothing happening. So now I think, guys, help us, please help us. Help us to finish the tondols. We are enough now to stay in such a bad area.
I am standing here in the Sia Tutuga informal settlement in Durban, an area that's been severely damaged by the rain. As you can see behind me, some of the houses have been completely washed away. People here have lost all their belongings and they're trying to recover whatever is left from the rain. Although cleaning operations haven't started here, mop-up operations have started in other areas of the province. Roads are slowly opening. Municipal services are resuming sporadically, although loads of people are left without water because 2 of the major aqueducts that convey water to the city have been damaged by rockfall during these heavy rains. So as slowly as Durban and the province is trying to recover from this flood, and to assess the extent of the damage, more rain is expected this weekend. Indeed, according to South African weather services, there is a risk of localized flooding in the province during this Easter weekend. Asma Batmi-Clark, VOA Africa, Durban.
Elvis Nyathi, the Zimbabwean man who was brutally killed and then burned by a mob in Dispute, South Africa last week, will be given a state-funded funeral in his home country. A statement signed by Mishek Sibanda, Chief Secretary of Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa, says the president has granted a state-assisted funeral to the late Nyathi. British Interior Minister Priti Patel says Thursday her government has chosen Rwanda for an agreement to resettle illegal migrants because the country has a history of resettling refugees in a skilled way. Anyone who had arrived in Britain illegally since January 1st could now be relocated to Rwanda. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says this will disrupt the business model of people smuggling gangs. Minister Patel signed the agreement Thursday in Kigali and presented it to the Rwandan Foreign Minister Vincent Biruta.
Today, the United Kingdom and Rwanda have signed a joint new migration and economic development partnership to put an end to this deadly trade in people smuggling. This is part of the United Kingdom's new plan for immigration to control our borders, protect our communities, stop dangerous illegal migration, help the world's most desperate people, and welcome international talents to the UK. It is the biggest overhaul of our immigration system in decades, underpinned by a Nationality and Borders Bill, which will soon become law.
By relocating migrants to Rwanda, investing in their personal development and providing education, employment and other opportunities, we are giving them the chance to make new lives in our country as full members of our communities. This will not only help them, but it will benefit Rwanda and Rwandans and help to advance our own development. And for those who don't wish to make Rwanda their new home, they will be facilitated to return to their country of origin or settle in other receiving countries. We believe this partnership with the UK offers a unique and innovative approach that will provide a safe haven and opportunity to those in need.
The plan drew swift and strong criticism from opposition parties, with Interior Minister Priti Patel's Labour Party counterpart Yvette Cooper saying it was extortionist as well as unworkable and unethical. For more perspective on this story, Claude Gatebuke, Executive Director of the Africa Great Lakes Action Network, joins me live via Skype from Tennessee. Claude, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me, Esther.
First of all, your reaction to what Yvette Cooper told Priti Patel in this exchange. Unethical, unworkable, what do you think?
100% unethical, unworkable, and extortionist. And I like that term, extortionist, because basically it's highway robbery. Rwanda's going to make some money off of it. But the reason why this is unethical is this isn't the first time that refugees have been exchanged or settled into Rwanda. There was a deal between Rwanda and Israel that started in where Eritrean and Sudanese refugees were sent to Rwanda in 2016. In 2018, they were supposed to actually send even more refugees from Israel, and that deal flopped. Rwanda was going to make $5,000 off of each refugee resettled there. And what happened with the refugees, the Eritreans and the Sudanese who were settled in Rwanda earlier, was a disaster. First of all, they were their money was extorted by agents of the Rwandan government. Many of them were dumped at the border.
How do you verify that? Because first of all, we know once somebody is a refugee, they're looking for somewhere to settle. They've been settled in Rwanda. The government of Rwanda has accepted them. And I would think that the British government would also support their resettlement there. And probably Rwanda will tap into their skills. These people have certain skills that they can give to the Rwandan people as they assimilate to the Rwandan culture.
That would be great if that was the case. So what I'm sharing here, some of it is testimonies and the other is from reports of what happened to the refugees, the Eritrean refugees who were settled to Rwanda. Some of them, as I said, were dumped at the border of Uganda and eventually ended up in Libya, again, in slavery. Secondly, those who stayed in Rwanda, their rights have been trampled on, they've been abused. Women have been abused, children have been impregnated, and they life for them has been hell. So, when I hear
from what you know, being originally you were born in Rwanda and you've been following this story, do you know if the Rwandan government has something written, something that binds the government to protect the rights of these asylum seekers that have now resettled there and to integrate them in the society? What does the law say about these people?
So it's, Rwanda is supposed to follow international law when it comes to resettlement and settling of people. But Rwanda is notorious for breaking international law in many ways. Again, I really want to bring back the light to the refugees. These aren't the only ones. There's also the case of Congolese refugees who were shot in a refugee camp because they were starving. Again, they're supposed to feed them, they're supposed to take care of them, but Rwanda is notorious for not doing that. And there is no confidence, there's no level of confidence at all in settling, or that these refugees will be treated any different than the ones who've been there before, the Eritreans and the Congolese. And in addition, Rwanda is notorious for violating human rights of Rwandans and foreigners. It has one of the highest rate of refugees on the continent of Africa, and it's an outrage that anybody would send refugees or migrants to a country that cannot even keep its own citizen within its own borders.
Is there any clause that allows them to eventually become Rwandan citizens? And isn't there one single good story that has come out of this?
So far, as far as the experience of other refugees and other migrants that have been settled into Rwanda, not so much, because, again, I'm sure there are cases of individuals here and there who have thrived, but we're talking about whole communities. And
right.
there's whole communities have been harmed, as I said, with the Eritreans who were settled there in 2016, and also the Congolese refugees who were actually agitating to be returned back to the Congo. They wanted to go back because conditions in Rwanda were so bad. And instead of letting them go back home, they actually shot them.
Claude, thanks. Claude Gatebuke is the Executive Director of the Africa Great Lakes Action Network. Witnesses say Malian troops and white mercenaries were involved in the killing of civilians in the militant-controlled town of Mura in March. It was market day in the town of Mura when Malian troops, allegedly backed by white mercenaries, descended in helicopters and opened fire on residents, according to eyewitnesses' accounts. Witnesses say over the next several days, men were allegedly sat in the blazing sun with their hands tied and with little food or water before being taken by soldiers to the edge of a mass grave and shot. The witness accounts have yet to be independently verified, but they bolster evidence gathered by Human Rights Watch. The Malian armed forces, which has started extensive anti-terrorist military operations across the country, are being accused of abuses against civilians by some human rights organizations. Meanwhile, the European Union is considering ending training for the Malian armed forces. To better understand what is at stake in the diplomatic situation, VOS Mudibo Dembele spoke via Skype with Mali's Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Minister.
Minimum of 24 months negotiation. We have made significant concession, but we think this timeline is realistic, taking into account some of the objectives that the government would like to achieve, specifically in securing the country, but also in undertaking critical institutional and political reform to make sure that the democratic process in Mali become irreversible. On the side of ECOWAS, they are proposing 12 to 16 months. But whatever timeline will be retained, we think what is important is to avoid to impose a specific timeline on Mali. Only Malian governments and Malian people know exactly the situation in the country. We are in the country facing multi-dimensional crisis, security crisis, governance crisis, economic crisis, social crisis. It's a very big country, 1,241,000 square kilometers. It's very big, and we are facing different terrorism, inter-community violence. So we are facing a set of challenges. We can make the election as inclusive as possible.
The Malian army is accused of killing civilian population. What is your reaction on those kind of allegations?
I don't believe that it is in the interest of the Malian government nor the Malian army to kill the Malian people. We are in the fight against terrorism. We cannot win this battle alone. We have to win it with the people, with the soul and mind of the people. So what would be the interest of the Malian army to kill its own population while at the same time we need them to win this battle? One could ask itself. We are in the very tense geopolitical context. We are in the context also where the Operation Barkhane has ended. There are many incidents or disinformation to try to accredit the understanding that the Malian army working with the foreign mercenary are killing people here and there. But this is far from being the reality. This is a way to demoralize our army, to demoralize our people, to even oppose our community, to say the Malian are killing the Fulanis. But Malian army is a multi-ethnic army. We have all sorts of Malian ethnic groups present in this. So we completely deny this.
We have some people from Mura stated that they have seen some people from the Russian group Wagner. Is that true?
The report that I'm getting from the population of Mura and from the Fulani community is that there is no massacre that have occurred. And our army is a professional army, has been working around the military and human rights rules. I tell you, Mura is a safe haven, have been a safe haven for years for terrorists. And we have specific intelligence which indicates that they have been gathering in Mura for important meeting. And they have been also committing violence and many exactions against the civilian people. We have expressed to the European Union our openness for cooperation, for dialogue. It's up to the EU to make its own decision. My understanding is that they are not ending their presence in Mali, but they will be making some changes.
That was Abdoulaye Diop, Mali's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Russian officials said Thursday the flagship of its Black Sea fleet has been seriously damaged and that all the crew members evacuated the vessel following what Russia says was an explosion and what Ukrainian officials say was a missile strike. The guided missile ship Moskva, seen here in the file video, the Russian Defense Ministry blames a fire that detonated ammunition on board the vessel as the cause. It says the fire had been contained and the ship remained afloat. The Russian ministry added that the ship's main weapons were not damaged and that efforts were being made to take the ship back to the port. But Ukrainian officials are contradicting that account. Ukraine's Southern Military Command says that it hit the Russian warship Moskva Wednesday by Neptune anti-ship missiles, and spokesman for the Ukraine Southern Military Command tells his version of what happened to the Russian ship.
In the Black Sea region, a cruiser Moskva was hit by Neptune anti-ship missiles. Flagship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet sustained substantial damage. A fire started. Other ships tried to provide assistance, but a storm and powerful explosion of ammunition turned the ship over and it started sinking.
The Ukrainian Southern Military Command statement on the Russian ship has not yet been independently verified. However, if true, the Moskva is the second major ship known to have suffered serious damage since the start of the war. Last month, Ukraine says it destroyed a landing support ship, the Orsk, on the Sea of Azov. The man suspected of spraying the inside of a New York City subway car with gunfire, setting off smoke bombs and injuring 23 people is due to make an initial court appearance Thursday to face a federal charge of violently attacking a mass transit system. Frank Robert James, 62, was arrested on Wednesday in Lower Manhattan, capping a 30-hour manhunt for the lone suspect wanted in an attack that shook up riders of the largest and busiest rapid rail network in the United States. Police say 10 people were shot, 5 of them hospitalized in critical but stable condition. 13 others were injured in the stampede of terrified passengers pouring from the smoke-filled subway car onto the subway platform. All are expected to survive. The New York Times and New York Post, each citing law enforcement sources, reported that James himself alerted police to his general location in a call he placed to a tip line from a McDonald's fast food outlet. Let us know what you think about Africa 54. Africa 54's new Facebook address is facebook.com/VOA Africa. In our Friday entertainment report, Heather Maxwell interviews Baltimore-based blues singer Black Assets. But still to come, VOA Africa 54 Jackson Vunganyi has the latest Basketball Africa League highlights. We'll be right back.
Empowerment and humanity towards a better world.
Economic and social progress of every society.
Facts and information from key players rather than spectators in politics, business, science and technology.
City, rural, educated, all underprivileged. We care and we listen to what matters to you.
Your voices are our voices.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Linor Mudu, in Washington, every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
On Lake Kivu in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, row after row of coffee bushes are bringing forth a rich harvest of berries, and the main beneficiaries will be women, the outcome of an equity project in a sector where women are sidelined and underpaid. Clara Frank has the story.
As the sun beats down on the water, proud workers survey the fruits of their labor. The harvest is the outcome of an equity project in a sector where women are notoriously sidelined and underpaid.
Women are the ones who work the land, but when it comes to harvesting the crop and marketing it, they get pushed aside. It becomes a man's business. That was what disgusted me.
9 years ago, Bucha founded an NGO called Rebuild Women's Hope to expand the role of women in the Democratic Republic of Congo's coffee sector. Rebuild Women's Hope set its eyes on Ijwi, an island of some 300 square kilometers, located in the middle of Lake Kivu, where some of the world's most lauded coffee is grown. Arabica coffee from Ijwi has a worldwide reputation, a richness that comes from being grown at high altitude, in dark volcanic soil and without chemical fertilizers.
It's exceptional. The berries are picked, washed, and sorted before being allowed to ferment and then dry. It is labor-intensive work that in the DRC has long been dominated by men.
Today, RWH employs at least 12,000 women during the peak coffee harvesting season. The women chiefly work in processing the coffee and in office administration and are paid the same rate as the 900 men. Rosette Nyakalala Bisengi, a 24-year-old cultivator and coffee sorter, confirmed things had improved. She still earns only 2,500 Congolese francs or $1.25 US per day and would like to double that. Even so, she says she has enough money to buy livestock, send her children to school, and buy them clothes. RWH produces between 6 and 10 containers of coffee per harvest, each holding 19 tons of coffee. The coffee comes from its own fields, but also from several small producers. The coffee is consumed in the United States, Europe, and Asia. The company hopes to expand to 20 containers per harvest using only local labor. Clara Frank, VOA News.
The Africa Basketball League was back in action on Wednesday, and here's VOA's Jackson Vunganyi with the highlights.
Cobra's Kiel went into attack early, scoring a basket after a pass from Dio.
The record-setting rebounder gets to the rim.
Seconds later, Key returned with a thunderous dunk after a pass from Hampton.
Throws it down with authority.
Cobra extended the lead early in the first quarter with a fadeaway pass from Hampton.
Fades away, and the hook shot goes. 2 more to the total.
Late in the first quarter, Espoir for Cash had cut the lead to just 4 points, but Kiel made a long three to extend the lead for Cobra.
Hits one.
Isongu scores for Espoir with a second effort after a pass from Ambanza.
To the floor. The second opportunity.
Wang extended the lead for Cobra with a single effort to be followed by a corner three-pointer from Weg.
Ice in his veins.
Key collects his own rebound to extend the lead as Cobra started to run away with the game in the third quarter. Mwamba makes a basket and a foul for Espoir, but time was already running away from the DRC side. A lazy pass from Cobra's Maluwal is intercepted by Kasongo of Espoir, who finished with a dunk in the losing effort.
Goes as well. Ganapamo.
Down by 1 with 9 minutes left, Cape Town's Ortiz finds Prince Lou and passes to Gonapamo, who makes a mid-range shot.
It's a beautiful one as well.
But then Cameroon tries to stay innate as Toko gets the ball to Almeida, who tries for a 3 but misses. And it's over as Cape Town wins this one by 3 in an exciting...
Thank you, Jackson. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our new Facebook page, facebook.com/VOA Africa. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.